So thank you guys. Karibuni sana to this wonderful Friday, the 19th of September in the year 2025. So karibuni sana to my channel Elijah Wanjohi. A bit of introduction and housekeeping. So for those ones who have not subscribed to this channel, nawaambia karibuni sana. So our topic today is doing business or becoming an investor in the right way. Because we've noted with a lot of concern that most of the people don't lack capital, but they lack the technical capacity and maybe how they don't precisely understand the dynamics in the market and where cash flow is. So this topic is very, very much welcome. But before we proceed, before we proceed, I want to reiterate on one thing, which is about understanding the cash flow quadrant. It's something that I've been analyzing the whole of this week, written by Robert Kiyosaki about different business systems and much more. I don't want to pinpoint the main theme of the video at this point, but we'll continue sharing the ideas as we go on. We understand that in most of the circumstances, cash flow is not quite a problem, but rather it's a necessity or it's a tool that can assist us to generate money. So right now in this era of technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, we have lots of opportunities, especially in the ICT sector. So karibuni sana guys to my channel Elijah Wanjohi. Please continue subscribing, and we are also going to have a Q&A. So I was trying to analyze this quadrant that was defined by one famous Robert Kiyosaki, who is the author of this book, The Cashflow Quadrant. And today I want to practically dissect the different components or elements that are outlined in this book. One, it's about how to become maybe an employee and differences between an employee, a person who is self-employed, an investor, as well as a business owner. So, first of all, an employee is somebody who is working for another entity, perhaps an organization or somebody else. On the other hand, a self-employed person a, is a choice, especially for people who choose to work for themselves. Um, and a business owner can talk about somebody who works for some. Okay, this is somebody who owns a system where other people can work for them. So when you talk about a business owner, we talk about a system. You have a system that can generate revenues and cash for you. So on the other hand, the ultimate goal is to become an I, is the investor. And this is somebody who is able to make money or generate wealth from different investments. So most of the people normally ask, how do I move from being an employee to a business owner? Where do I start? And the answer to your question is right there. All that you need is to do the proper financial planning. You do the you have proper mental logic to understand the industry that you want to invest in, and don't be cheated by the different benefits that we often get from being being employed or being in self-employment, so to speak. So that is about E and S, employment and being self-employed. Um, they have various limitations because once you compare a person who is employed and a person who is self-employed based on the quadrant that was provided by Robert Kiyosaki, this is a very, very good book about the cash flow quadrant, and it gives practical scenarios in the sense that both S and E provide security by giving you income. Nevertheless, they tie wherever you get to your time in such a way that you have to commit much of your time to being employed or to being self-employed. So on the other hand, the two other elements which are B and I, being a business owner or being an investor, um, are significantly beneficial to individuals because they have the potential to create, or they have the potential to generate a lot of passive income. They also provide flexibility and freedom, and they're also scalable. So B, especially when you talk about B, um, refers to a scenario or where you create a system that can even generate money in your absence. So by observing this, there is great potential for you to become wealthy. And so this is our topic today, and we want to understand which path would you recommend. I would recommend taking a path or maybe doing a quadrant with four different elements: E, S, B, and I. So one of the reasons why I'm putting E and S on one left side of the quadrant is because there are various limitations in a way that there is a carpet or there is a limit to the extent to which you can generate money. While on the other hand, um, the right side consists of a B and I. These don't have limitations to how much money you can generate in the world. Um, so people often ask, is it proper considering the risks involved? But investors are guys who invest in businesses. So, for instance, investing in or becoming a business owner is also quite challenging because you require various aspects, so to speak. And two of the most important elements or components that you need is you need the right experience and education. For you to be successful as a business owner, you need to develop or create yourself into becoming a powerful investor. So, for you to become a great business owner, you don't need to only start a business, but rather you need to dig deep and create a solid or a firm business acumen or business tense. And this one can accelerate you to become a better or a greater investor. So in this case, you also have the opportunity to maybe learn or talk about, or learn or better engage in learning about good businesses. Because for you to become a great investor, you will need to invest in the right business. When I talk about a right business, I don't talk about that business that is risk-free. Rather, I'm talking about a successful business that has a stable business system. If you recall, I talked about a system because business owners are those people who generate systems, and a system is something that has an input, the process is involved, and also gives a proper output. So that is what we call a system. So once you invest in a stable business system, you are likely to achieve multiple or maybe lots of revenues and ultimately some great profit. So some of the people from the previous chats have been asking, how do I create a system? Or they simply don't understand the difference between a system and a product. So just as I've explained, a system needs some inputs, and it also consists of the processes involved and ultimately an output. So once you have a system working for you, you are making the right steps to becoming an investor. So you can also invest in a product, but that one doesn't mean that it's going to give you the right cash flow or maybe the right returns. Um, Another aspect that is needed, which is very, very much important in business or investment, is the issue of cash flow. Most of the people who are self-employed or those ones who are employed are so tight in terms of cash flow, and they are not sure whether they are ready to take risks in maybe becoming business owners or investors. So this is one of the greatest risks because they don't even have the time to invest in the right capital, also maybe invest in the right knowledge to properly understand or create a stable system. So once they become maybe they have enough cash flow, they can invest in the right skills, invest in the proper development, and by that they can be able to inject the right cash flow into the business. Um, so far so good. That is why I best recommend um, reading this book because it has multiple and very, very critical lessons that you can learn. Because um, employed people can move to become business owners, and I recommend that also the self-employed become business owners. And finally, once you become a business owner or somebody with a system that is able to give you cash, then you can move to the final goal, which entails becoming an investor. So far, so good. And before we wind up today's video, I want to talk about some or three different types of business systems. One is where you have a traditional system or a company where you can create your own system. So by this you can develop, or let's talk about a company that does one, two, three, that does processing of maybe oil. That is an example. You can also do a business or maybe operate a business that offers some service. Then you work on creating some processes and maybe some tangible output. You can also put or maybe purchase or franchise by purchasing an existing system that you know is likely or is currently profitable. So most of the employed and the self-employed guys normally look for businesses or look for market entries where they can start their own corporations. We call them C corporations, so to speak. But that is not the only channel in which you can create your business system. You can also purchase an existing franchise, make some improvements here and there. Maybe let's talk about farming. You can bridge the gaps in farming, making these improvements. You can create your own business systems. Maybe you can purchase an existing farm, do value addition, create a new line of business, and you are good to go. So another thing, or maybe the third component that we can use to create a business system is network marketing. If you apply the right network marketing strategies where you can purchase or buy to become part of an existing system. So through this, you can earn out of money as a passive investor. So by this, the risks are a bit low compared to when you choose to start your own C corporation. Um, I think it's good that we've defined the three ways in which you can create some business systems, because all that affects us is the limitations that we put on ourselves. But once we are ready to lose our risk appetite, or once we have that aspect of taking risks, then the returns are likely to be enormous. So guys, I want to move to the Q&A part, but today we don't have a lot of time for this summary. I'll be uploading the video that I chose to upload. Um, I'll be uploading that video later. It has a lot of goodies. Um, One of the ways that you can make it to becoming a business owner, and these are practical tips that I'll have to maybe outline or talk about. Um, I'll talk about three proven strategies of you becoming or maybe moving to the business owner side. One, um, I've learned that it's always good and necessary to find a mentor. So this is a person who has the proper experience in a certain industry, and by finding a mentor, you avoid the risk of asking questions from people who've even never done that business. So the world has a lot of advisors telling you that you can choose plan A, you can choose plan B, but investing in finding or looking for a mentor can be a very, very noble step towards moving to become a business owner successfully. However, um, a mentor doesn't have to be maybe in the professional field, but you need to learn with a mentor so that you can create your own system. Um, you can also maybe do some trials and errors, a lot of paperwork, a lot of back and forth until when you are confident that you can be able to invest in a certain business, so to speak. Um, Another thing for you to move to become a business owner quickly is by purchasing a franchise. Um, Instead of creating your own business system from scratch, you can maybe purchase a business, remove maybe one of the variables, um, maybe that is affecting the cash flows, try to implement a plan B. Um, then from there, you just need to create a system from this franchise by identifying the existing gaps. So, but notably, franchise don't work well for people who have that mentality of being self-employed, or maybe those ones who want to do their own things. Once you purchase a franchise, you have to operate within the limits of that business, and of course, we need the proper legal framework to establish a franchise. So, for instance, if you take an example of how banks operate, or maybe insurance companies, they don't own most of the real estate properties. They don't even purchase, but rather they lease. Then, if you move maybe to outside the country, you find that existing businesses are happier if they want to maybe operate in a certain terrain instead of starting businesses from scratch. Let's say banks, insurance companies, they want to move maybe outside the limit of Kenya, for instance. They want to, if you want to move to maybe a country like Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Congo, South Africa, the likes of maybe Nigeria, it's always advisable to look for a franchise, purchase that one, make improvements based on the variables that are present, but it has a very very great risk if you don't establish the proper legal frameworks. But once it's in most of the cases, franchises don't fall because you need to do some due diligence, for instance. So I think that is uh, that is number two. Then for you, you also need to, maybe number three, we need to implementing the proper network marketing. Just as I had said earlier, this is like kind of establishing different multi-level marketing schemes, or maybe providing direct distribution systems. Now let's talk about marketing. So in most of the cases, network marketing is not relatively new, but it has the potential to significantly improve, or maybe increase the brand value or market positioning of an organization, or maybe a franchised company. So I think that is that for today. Um, Maybe about business systems and people, and how you maybe develop into becoming a successful business owner. So we have more and more lessons on investing and maybe creating business systems. So whether you develop from scratch, or maybe you do some franchise, or maybe um, um, you do one from scratch, or maybe do some improvements by creating systems, because systems are the bridge to financial freedom. So